We're gonna build this EA. We'll go step by step, and by the end of this series, you will fully own this EA for free. Well, not free. It will take a computer, an internet connection, and by the end of it, you will probably have a few more gray hair compared to when you started. Now, before we go forward, this trading robot has been on the MQL marketplace for years. It sells for $2,800, seems to be boosting a lot of profits, consecutive months in profit, and has full documentation on the features, how to install it, requirements, settings, strategy, and all the other good stuff. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna look through the entire EA, figure out how it works, and then we're gonna build it by ourselves. Now let's look at the EA itself. This is the front screen of the EA with an entire panel and a few indicators. But we're gonna build this entire thing with a yellow Pac-Man. Why? Because I just couldn't find a green Pac-Man. But in any case, this is how our EA in entirety will look like with a full panel, exactly the same way as you can find in the original. Let's first try and see how this EA works. So this is from the market, and I'm gonna run a visual test. Now this is gonna take forever to run because there are a lot of indicators and there is a panel as well. But what we can see here is that the EA is based on a standard deviation 36, RSI 20, ATR 96, and ATR 672. So we're gonna remember these, and let's go back. And now we're gonna run the test without the visual mode. So we get the results here. All of the trades are visible here. And now we know what are the indicators through the visual test. So we can put those. So for example, the ATR, and we know we need ATR 96 and 672. So ATR 96, and then we put an ATR 672. Then we know there is an RSI 20. And there is standard deviation 36. So now we have all four of them here on the results. And let's look at the first trade, which is here. So what happens is I'm seeing that the RSI has hit 70. Let's look at the settings as well. This is based on Bollinger Band period 35 and RSI period 20, yes, but the maximum RSI setting of 15. I think this RSI setting is basically you have the middle 50, and this is 15 above and 15 below for the buy and sell. So this is from 50, we go up to 65 and 35. So if I look back here on this trade, we have an RSI coming close to 65. And let's say this trade here is the buy trade. So if I come back down here, I see, yes, it is 38. So what I see here is on a new bar, look here, let's come down, and the RSI is 32. So it again below 35. Look here, 32, again below 35. Now, of course, it's not that simple. I mean, I just don't look at the chart and in 1 second understand exactly how the trades are opening. But I've seen through many different back tests is that every time the new trade open up, it has nothing to do with ATR. It has nothing to do with ATR 672. It has nothing to do with the Bollinger Band or standard deviations either. It's only the RSI. So as long as it is above 65 or it is below 35, immediately the trade opens, the first trade, not the grid, the first trade. So we can figure it out from all the trades here. The other thing I have noticed is that in the inputs, you have the Bollinger Bands 35, but in the indicators, you don't have Bollinger Bands. What you have is the standard deviation of 35 or 36. So it's 35 plus 1. And what is a Bollinger Band? A Bollinger Band is the moving average with 2 standard deviation on the upper side for the upper Bollinger Band and 2 standard deviation on the lower side for the lower Bollinger Band. So this standard deviation is showing up in the charts because the Bollinger Bands are being calculated manually using the moving average and the standard deviations to the top and standard deviations below. And this is most likely because for multi-currency EAs, MQL struggles with Bollinger Bands. So it's easier to get the standard deviation and then calculate the Bollinger Band because then you are able to internally calculate it on every tick. Now the other thing I noticed is that the trade distance is 35, which basically means that once you have opened the trade based on RSI, the next trade is going to be 35 pips, and then the next grid trade is going to be 35, and then 35, and so on and so forth. So the trading robot is opening the first trade based on RSI, but then it's adding the grids based on this 35 distance that the user can specify. But one thing which I have noticed is that it's not always 35. One, because the EA is running the code on new candles and not every tick, because with every tick, all of this is going to become way too much. So it only runs on a new candle. But more importantly, what I've noticed is that there is a link to this ATR 96 and ATR 672 to get the volatility in the market. So if there is more volatility in the market now versus longer period ATR, then this divide by this is being used as a multiplier to then increase the level from 35, whatever the user has put, to a different level. And I know this because you have this smart distance, which if it is true, and let's look here, we ran the test. You see here, the first trade was opened at 93.83. The second trade was opened at 94.25, which is 42 pips. Could be because of the candle. But the next trade from 94.25 to 94.75 is actually 50, which is based on this value from ATR 96 divided by this value from ATR 96. So one divided by the other gives you a multiplier, and then you multiply that with the smart distance. The other reason I'm sure about this is if we go and change this to false, and I'm going to run the test again, then here in the new test, where we have disabled the multiplier, if I look at the same trades, then you will see it's 93.36 to 93.83, which might be because of this huge candle. But let's say from here, 94.06 to 94.43 is 35 pips ish. 94.43 to 94.80, 37 pips. And then if I look at some other trade, it is 95.40 to 95.76, so exactly 36. So if you turn off the smart distancing, the distance is actually exactly 35 plus minus for when the bar is closing. Whereas in the case of a smart distance being true, the differences are quite different. So you have 94.25 to 94.75, which is 50 pips. And that is because of this ATR divided by this ATR gives you a value which is being used as a multiplier. Now I have run the test on OutCat, New Zealand CAT and different currencies to verify this. You're more than welcome to download the demo EA, look it up for yourself. By the way, this is also very evident when you're running the EA in the visual mode with the panel on, that you will see here the next level and the lots. And here the next level is always 35, only changing with the smart TP based on the ATR 96 divided by ATR 672. The next thing I saw in the inputs, after the smart distance, you have the second trade multiplier, the third to the fifth trade multiplier, and the sixth multiplier, which is 1, 2, and 1.6, which is, you look at the grid, let's say it's 3.64 for the first trade, the base trade. Then for the level 1, it is still 3.64. But for the level 2, it's going to be multiplied by 2. So it's from 3.64 to 7.28. Then for the third level, it is going to be multiplied again by 2. And then if there are more positions, this is how the entire multiplier will continue. So you will have the base trade as a lot size calculation, which is coming out of this setting. But once you have the base trade, the first level is going to have this multiplier. Then from third to fifth trade, you're going to double the lots every time. And then from sixth trade, meaning level 5 onwards, you're going to multiply it by 1.6. This is how the entire martingale is working in this EA. And this then links back into the weighted take profit, which is the initial take profit when the first trade, the base trade opens is 10. But then going forward, once we open martingale, so the next levels can become heavier in lots. In that case, we take the weighted average of all the positions, and then we calculate the average price, and then we put the TP versus that average price. It's a weighted take profit in that sense. And then this possibility of take profit for grid in pips, which can be different from this one. So if nothing is specified here, it will be the weighted average price if this property is true. Otherwise, it will just be a simple average. And then from that simple average or weighted average price, the distance to the TP is going to be this 10 initial pips. Otherwise, if the user has specified something here, then depending on it's a simple average or a weighted average, this take profit is going to be used. And then going back up here, what I see here as the lot sizing is that you have load is setting of 25% annually, which is 0.25% deposit load. Then 40%, which is 0.5% deposit load. Then 80%, which I'm assuming is between 0.5 and 1.5. because it's just double. So 0.25 to 0.5, then 80% is definitely 1. And then 120, which is 1.5 times 80%. So this one is 1.5 deposit load. And then you have dynamic lot size based on balance and equity, which is a very simple one, which is you specify here the dynamic lot. So 0.01 lot size per every $10,000. For every $10,000 of either equity or balance is the minimum lot size, 0.01. And then the fixed lots is very simple. It's fixed lots and then you specify it here. But then you also have the lots based on deposit load, where you can specify a custom deposit load. Is 0.25 as the default, which is this setting, 0.25, this is 0.5, then this is 1, and this 1.5. These are the lot sizing method for the base trade. And then for all other trades, you have these multipliers. And by the way, I think you can also put custom multipliers by comma. We can spend another hour going through all of this James Bond 007 stuff. You're more than welcome to download the demo EA and verify it for yourself. But the main way that the EA actually works is the RSI value from 50 is used to open the first trade. Then this trade distance of 35 determines the next levels. Smart distances are based on ATR 96 divided by ATR 672 as a multiplier. So you take that multiplier and multiply with the trade distance. What I've also seen, there's a cap between 1 and 1.5, because I've not seen a trade in a grid which is less than 35. So it's definitely a cap of 1 on the lower side. And then I've not seen something which is more than 1.5. So that's the upper limit for this ATR. Well, smart distance, it is very, very smart. But yes, in a way, I mean, if you have the faster ATR 96 is more volatile than the longer term ATR 672, you might want to increase the distance of your, and it's a good linkage. Then you have the multipliers for the lot sizing and martingaling. And there's one more setting which is of interest, which is the grid level to start. And it's a very clever one. So normally whenever your RSI is gonna hit this 15 difference from the mean 50, you're gonna open up a trade. But you also have the possibility of actually saying, no, I want to start from level 3. In which case, and let's run it to see, that when you run it with the grid level to start as 3, then for the base level, you have 0.01. For the first level, you have 0.01. And then from trade 3, you actually have 3.66. While in the original one, you can see here from the very beginning, it is 3.64, 3.64, and then double already, 7.28. Grid leveling is started immediately from the time that the RSI hits 65 or 35. But if you are setting the grid level to start as a different value, then in that case, the EA still places a bookmark, but with the minimum lot, 0.01. For the second level, it is still 0.01. Only from the level that you specify, that's where the actual lot sizing will start, 3.66. So you don't put 3.66 already here. You wait because, for example, you are expecting the price to move against you. In that case, what's the point of putting the full lot size here when you're already expecting that the price is going to move against you? Now, of course, there are many trades where you're going to open up on the first level and immediately it hits the take profit. So you lose on that because you're only going to have 0.01. But when the market conditions are a bit more volatile, this can come in very handy. Then you only put a bookmark here, and actual lot sizing starts from the level 3. Now, another intelligent one is that when you're doing this, you also have the option to keep the original profit and lot sizing. What that means, in the normal, where if we are starting from level 1, the first lot was already 3.64, and this was 3.64. And then already this is 7.28, and then this is again 14.56. But here, you started with 0.01, but then this is going to be equal to the first trade that you placed. But if you change this to keep original lot size and profit levels, and now if we run the back test, what you will see is that the first trade is 0.01, the second trade is 0.01, but the third trade is not 3.67, it's already 6.82, as if this was calculated to be 3.6, this was calculated to be. So even though we are placing bookmarks of 0.01 and 0.01, but we are somehow storing the values of what the lot size would have been if we were starting from grid level 1. And then on the third level, we already start with that multiplier. Very clever. So the difference between the three is, if you have this grid level to start as the normal default 1, then in that case, from the first time that the RSI hits the 65 or whatever you have specified, that level, it will open up the trade normally with the lot sizing based on whatever you have selected here in the lot sizing method. But if you select a value different in the grid size to open, then you have two very clever different options, which is one, to keep the original profit and lot sizing to false, in which case the grid is going to be based on 0.01, and from the third trade, we're going to start calculating based on the deposit load. So this is going to be the first trade in that case. But then if you had selected it to be true, which is the backtest here, then in that case, even though we are placing bookmarks on trade 1, bookmark on level 2, we are still considering these to be actual trade. So from level 3, we calculate the lot size as if these were full lot sizing according to the method that we have selected. Now let's quickly look through the critical settings. I'm not going to go through the entire page. Most of this is just cosmetics and stuff, or I'll run very quickly through. But since we're going to build this entire EA ourselves, so it's probably better to understand what is it that we're actually about to build. So this is just allow the opening of the new trade, then the lot sizing method, that's the important one. Fixed lots based on deposit load, in which case you put this here. Dynamic lot sizing based on balance or equity. So 0.01 lot size based on what balance? So $20,000 will be 0.02, $30,000 will be 0.03. Then deposit load as a percentage, 0.25. And then there are some preset settings, which is low risk is 0.25 deposit load, medium risk is 0.5, significant risk, which is double this, so it's definitely 1%, and then 120%, which is 6 times this, so 1.5%. So that's what our lot sizing are going to be based on. Then this one, the fixed initial deposit. And that's also a clever one, because with the martingale strategiale, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when your strategy is going to blow. It will blow, unless you have tremendous amount of deposit. So then the idea with the martingale strategies is always, you put an initial deposit, but as soon as you make some profit, take it out. And then you make some profit, take it out. And what you're betting on is that you will make more money than the initial deposit before the EA tanks. Now this setting allows you, in the tester only, to set fixed initial deposit. So even though in the tester itself, with the profit, your balance might increase, but the lot sizing is always going to take this initial deposit as if you were withdrawing the money all the time. So these three settings are related to that. I mean, that's just a rounding method. So yeah, max load per lot, yeah, fine, understood. Auto split, which is if the lot size becomes so big, which is not allowed by either your max lot per order or your broker, then in that case, do you want to split it into 2 trades and then send? Maximum spread, maximum slippage, understood. Portfolio, no idea. I think it's just cosmetic shit. Maximum number at a time. So even though you might have 3 or 4 currencies at the same time, if 2 currencies already have grids, then you don't allow more grids to open up. So that's a very good restriction that you can put. Only one symbol if the grid reaches this level. So on one symbol, if it reaches level 4, so it's a massive grid, then you don't want to allow anything else. Something. Allow hedging, which is if there's a buy grid on the symbol, do you also allow a sell grid on the same symbol? Allow trading during holiday. A very simple one. Do you allow buy and sell, buy only or sell only? Minimum free margin. Okay, a validation. Then this maximum floating drawdown. So that's the drawdown control. Then maximum floating drawdown in money. So that's the money control. So this one is in percentage and this one is in dollars. Then some FTMO related stuff. And then this one. So when the drawdown happens, based on this, what do you want? Do you want to close the trade and stop trading? Do you want to close the trade and stop trading until restart? Do you want to stop trading? Do you want to close the trade and stop trading, I think, until restart? Prohibit opening new grids. Prohibit opening new grids until restart. And then the rollover, because during the end of the day, the spreads can spike a lot. So you might want to have a rollover period. So from 23:45 until 0:15 the next morning, that's the rollover period, during which you want to stop everything, meaning like don't take any trades, don't close any trades because the spreads must be very high. And then maximum drawdown, is it based on this account or this is strategy? Because you might have manual trades as well. Do you take the drawdown only for this EA or this strategy or for the entire account? Something, cosmetics. Then hour to start trading and hour to stop trading. Yeah, very valid ones. Then trade on Monday, trade until Friday. Do you want to restrict any particular day? Which I don't understand really. I mean, yeah, it's there. But if you have a grid open in a martingale setting, how can you not trade on Wednesday then? Like what? I'm 3 level deep in a grid and a floating negative profit of $300, but I decide not to trade on Wednesday. Okay, it might be useful if you're just going, okay, don't open up a new grid on Wednesday or Friday because it's a sacred Muslim day. I don't know. Then the rollover period we already looked at. Then the sendovers during rollover, I mean during this period, if there is an order, do you send it or not? And then remove the take profit and stop loss during the rollover. I don't know why you would want to remove the take profit during rollover, because yeah, if it hits, it's happy days. Well, do you not want to take profit during the rollover period? A stop loss makes sense if there is actually a stop loss, because what I've seen is somewhere down below here is the stop loss is actually 1000 pips if it's 0. So 1000 pips, that kind of spikes not going to happen during rollover. But let's suppose that the user has put a value into the stop loss, then yes, I can see the sense in removing the stop loss during rollover, because what happens at the end of the day is the spreads are going to spike, take your stop loss and then shrink back again. And your stop loss is gone, your trade is gone. So yeah, it might be a good idea to actually during the rollover, remove the stop loss. So yes, that's a good one. Then of course, what symbols? No idea what this is, but okay, working time frame for Bollinger Band and RSI, what it is based on is 15 minutes. Then you have the Bollinger Band period as 35, RSI as 20, and the RSI value, which is going to determine where we open the first trade. Reverse strategy, well, it's an option, I guess. One can build it, which is instead of taking the sell trade, take the buy trade. So you want to reverse the strategy, and which is the same probably as the open opposite trade. And then the take profit, we have already covered that. Take profit and the weighted take profit and the grid take profit if it is going to be different from the initial take profit. And then you have these two additional settings which can probably come and help, which is take profit after a certain level. So let's say 4 levels I've opened, then you might want to have a different TP than if it was just up to grid 2. And same for the number of X bars, which is if 500 bars or 200 bars or 100 bars have happened since the time. So it's been a long time the grid is open. Then you might want to assign a different TP. I don't think this is any time really useful, but fine, it's there. Then hide the take profit, which is funny. I understand the hide the take stop loss, that you don't send it to the broker. Your broker might hunt stop losses. But take profit, well, I wouldn't mind if my broker hits my TP. That's just me making some profit. So hide take profit does not really make much sense, but fine, it's here in the EA. And then the OPO method for taking TP, once again, is stupid, which is here is my TP level, but only take the take profit if the bar closes above it. Like why? Why would you risk that actually your TP was hit, but the bar didn't close above, it closed below, you didn't hit your TP? Like why would you want to do that? But anyways, open price only method to handle TP. And then time frame for OPO method is, well, you can define a different one from the main time frame. A smart take profit, this I already spoke. I mean, yeah, I cannot show you the entire 007 stuff here, but this is basically based on Bollinger Bands. You set your TP as a percentage of how wide the Bollinger Bands are. Okay, do not adjust the TP unless a new grid level opens, which means, yeah, it makes kind of sense. I mean, you don't want to adjust your TP every 3 bars. So if this is your first level and here is the TP and then your second level opens, then you want to take a weighted average and then set the TP and move it. So this kind of makes sense. I don't understand why anybody would choose to be false. Don't know, don't understand. And don't really think that it is something useful. Cover swaps, yes, if your grid is open for 5 days, then there must be some swap accumulated. So for your TP calculation, do you want to include the swap cover as well? So you change your TP after the rollover. But once again, these settings are not related to the functioning of the EA. This is more fine tuning of the EA. So let's go through them with that in mind. A stop loss makes sense. Hide the stop loss. I don't think that the stop loss hunting happens. Well, don't start writing in comments that it does. Maybe it does, and I haven't experienced it. But here, yeah, it makes sense to hide it. And then makes sense to do OPO method, because you don't want just a spike to take it and go back. You want, if the entire candle closes below the stop loss, that's when you take the stop loss hit. So here OPO method will make much more sense than in the TP. Then trailing the stop loss in pips, understand. Randomize order TP level, like what? I mean, just take it out of your hat. And then the trade distance we've been through. A smart distance is based on ATRs. Multipliers we've already understood. Maximum number of trades on the EA, fine, understood. Calculate level from the initial trades, understood. Grid level to start, we also looked at in quite a lot of detail. What does that mean? Placing bookmark trades until that level, or start from the very first level. Then keep original profit, which was related to if this is a different number, then do you want to start at level 3 as if level 1 and level 2 were calculated with the proper lot sizing? Or do you want to start with the first lot sizing on level 3? Understood? The news filter, understand here, I mean, we're going to build the entire news panel anyways. So yes, news filter is enabled. And then the news action, prohibit opening of the initial, which makes sense. So yeah, we'll incorporate that. Disable trading on bank holidays, news filter. I mean, all of this is, yeah, fine, understand, easy to do. It speaks. I don't know, maybe the EA speaks if you turn it to, this is when, what's his name? Jerome Powell, when he opens his mouth, things go really bad sometimes. What's the period? Before the news and after the news? Do you want to increase the TP? And then there's the crash of the stock market, which is based on some setting which I cannot figure out. So when we're going to be building it, we're not going to be building this one. I really can't figure this out. What does it mean by crash? I think it's a percentage. Probably we can build that, which is if the stock market SP 500, or I mean, you define here which one, if SP 500 drops by 3%, so you can in the background monitor, if it drops by more than 3%, then you stop trading or something. So I understand what this is supposed to be doing. I cannot figure out, because I mean, here I can only run a back test, and in the back test, I cannot figure out what's the linkage. So maybe we will build one of our own, but it's not going to be based on what I can see in the EA itself. And then the trade comment. UID is the unique identifier, which I understand because of this magic number and the way I've seen the magic numbers work. It is a very unique method, which is you build the magic number based on the direction of the EA, then the magic number itself, which is 84570, and then ending it with a level, 2 decimals for the level. So you can keep a track of whether it's a buy grid, it's a sell grid, but also which level is it. So every trade has a different magic number. That's what we're going to build as well. Show panel, understood. Show stats, understood. Show the next level grid. Yes, that's part of the panel. So yeah, of course. Font size, yeah, okay. In the panel, we're going to build a font size as well. And then debug mode. Why who runs the EA in debug mode? That's for debugging, but fine. And disable automatic GMT detection, GMT, DST. It's like when you're running the EA on the chart in a proper account, it's your broker server, which makes sense. But fine, we'll add a GMT and DST as well. But the point is, a lot of these settings are just small flavors, for the lack of a better word. I suppose a lot of it is also to justify the $2,800 price tag. And also maybe a lot of people look at this and go, wow, this must be good. But we're going to start with the backbone of the EA, and then we'll see all the things from here which make sense. We'll add it. But I think adding all of this is definitely going to require quite a bit of effort. I think we should be thankful to the gentleman who built this EA, and also be thankful to him that he actually showed which indicators and parameters he's using. Through these indicators and the panel here, what it's displaying, plus the settings on the Bollinger Bands and RSI, it's not that difficult to figure out what's happening in the trading board. I think the bigger question is, even if you understand what is happening in this $2,800 grid management system, can you build it? And the answer is yes. With a computer, an internet connection, a small thank you to Mr. Caffrey, and a few more gray hair, yes you can. And that's what we're gonna build in this series. So until next time guys, stay safe, trade safe.